being 2 weeks out, we wanted to get something in him. Not quite as strong as last week, but close. So we end up being about the same time, but just put him, instead of having him chase a horse like last week, he was like 10 lengths behind, and he really focused, and he just kind of stayed off the horse's hip, and he stayed with that horse. And then the other horse was designed to be like a 5/8, and then we galloped out to the 3/4 pole. So basically the same as last week, but just I didn't put him quite in the chase mode so much. And we put his French Cup blinkers on him today just to let him know it's getting close.
Just talk about his whole career, which really isn't that many races, but it's been a number of years. And then, did it get frustrating, or did it say, hey, that's just training horses, you got to be patient?
Right. Well, yeah, there was a lot of starts and stops, and it makes it a little bit frustration and tests your patience somewhat when you know that you have the real deal, so to speak. And but that is horse training. I mean, been doing this a long time, and the owners were really great, patient, and of course there's an expense associated with all that you're going to incur no matter how long. An injury is going to be 4 months, 6 months, whatever it is, and we just took care of the horse, and he kept rewarding us. But every time we'd send him to be looked at, they'd come back and say, well, he's really not bad. Just this little thing we can put behind us and put it back in training. So we never did get the bad reports, so to speak. And that gave us confidence going forward and made us stay the course.
Really, his feet? Is that
the ankles? He's had 3 surgeries in his ankles. 2 on his left ankle, and he's got 2 screws in his right ankle.
In your experience, though, how unusual would it be he's a horse, for an owner to persevere? He's 7 now, with an eye on an ultimate prize that you hope is going to be there at some point. It seems like a lot of people would have found a way to send him to stud either overseas or a smaller farm or a regional farm before this. I mean, just the idea of keeping him and hoping that to see what you've been rewarded with last year when you got the grade 1.
Right. Well, that's what we were hunting for, the grade 1. We always felt he was a grade 1 talent. So, Mrs. Benson, we're happy that he's got a great home going forward now, WinStar. But back then, it would have been Indiana, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and like I said, we were getting good reports on the horse when he would have a layoff, like if a surgeon would look at his radiographs or that type of thing. So we just decided, let's just ride it out, and he just kept coming back, and he's been, knock on wood, together since it's coming up on over 3 years now. So we're fortunate to be in the spot we're in, and one more.
Do you still find yourself sort of holding your breath with him, or is it, it's been long enough that...
Trainers hold their breath with all of them. I mean, they're it's like strawberries, they spoil overnight. So, we're like that with all of them. But when you have a horse of this caliber, sure, like when he looked like he cooled out great, he drank a half a bucket of water, couldn't blow out a match. All the racetrack cliches hit him right, fit him today. And tomorrow morning we sit here at 5:15. He comes out the stall, and we take him out on that pavement and trot him up and down there. It'll be like, okay, good, hopefully good. And move on to the next workout. So you don't really know how a horse comes out of things for a few days, really.
He went the blame route minus going in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, but Stephen Foster the Clark Handicap for his first grade 1. Then the next year, the Stephen Foster, and with the idea of a Breeders' Cup in Kentucky, albeit it's at Keeneland. And
that was part of the plan. I mean, we knew where the Breeders' Cup was, and we considered the Breeders' Cup mile last year, and we just decided let's do the Fayette and the Clark, and wait for a whole year. And here we are, not 50 weeks later, but 11 months later from last year's Clark, and we're pretty close to our ultimate goal.
If he was a car, and you used the word Jaguar, what sort of treads on his tires, and if you looked under the hood, what would you see with him? Because he has not raced for a 7-year-old much at all.
When Windstar purchases breeding rights, they vetted him out A to Z, and Dr. Michael Horay came over here and took a bunch of radiographs, and he's like, this old boy looks good. He was like, you know, for an older horse, he looked very nice on radiographs. So his treads look good, and under the engine is what makes him who he is. He'll come back. When I drove from the front side back here just now, he just went 3/4 of a mile. I galloped out 3/4 of a mile, 12 and 4. And the first time I saw him walk in the barn, you couldn't have told me he might have galloped a mile and a half. His head was down, his nostrils were just blowing comfortably, eyes weren't popped out of his head, and you really could differentiate whether he galloped or just had a powerful work like that. And that's no exaggeration.
Coming in, the big showdown was him and Zenyatta, and this year it's Tom's d'Etat, and you've got maximum security from Baffert, and you've got just a few barns, a few rows over. You've got By My Standards. Compared the two going in with Blame into that Breeders' Cup Classic.
Obviously, there won't be a 3 to 5 shot or whatever Zenyatta was, 25 cents on the dollar or whatever. So it'll be different. It'll be just a dynamite horse race. A bunch of top animals in good form, and trip's going to mean something. The type of ride you get, the pace. It's going to be a really nice horse race.
How satisfying has his whole career been? And was it even as a 2-year-old that you first thought this horse is really the goods?
Yeah, everyone who got on him liked him. Ricardo Santana got on him a whole bunch as a 2-year-old, and he'd be out there goofing around, jumping shadows, and all kind of things. And he'd come back and say, "Good horse." He kept saying it. So it was, we just felt great about him all the time. And things always pop up on a horse. I'm here to, fix it. So that's what we did with this horse. He kept coming back better and better and better. And he would have been a Derby horse if he had stayed together as a 3-year-old. If he was 100%, he could, he's obviously in that class. So, but that doesn't bother me. I like older horses, and I'm happy to make it to where we are right now.
And now 5 years later, he's going in the most important race for older horses in America.
Mm-hmm. Right. He's got one more work here at Churchill Downs, and when he leaves to go to the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland, he's not coming back. That's fine. I'm happy for him.
You have Blame, and you win that race. Obviously, you want to be back in that race, but these horses are hard for 99.9% of the trainers, are hard to come by. And to get to that race, just the idea that here you are, a decade later, with another live contender for the Breeders' Cup Classic, put in perspective.
Yeah, we're fortunate. I'm not gonna look that gift horse in the mouth. It's just we've got a couple more weeks to go, and we're really looking forward to it. And for an outfit our size, to have horses in this race, even if it's 10 years apart, that alive. I know it's rarefied air, and I fully appreciate the luck that it takes to get there, and not take anything for granted.